Welcome back to the Kostawes region, a land of deserts, beaches, forests, and bright and shiny cities. Last time we ventured into the town of Visa Vita and took on the electric gym leader, Virtus, earning ourselves our second gym badge with their defeat in the coveted Signal Badge. The Signal Badge is a shining example of you as a trainer and everything that you've gone through up to this point. It may only be your second badge, but it means a lot. Once our prize was well in hand, we made our way out of Visa Vita toward the boardwalk beach, where we were stopped by a mysterious wanderer who gifted us an odd Pokeball, telling us of a Pokemon who was in danger on the cliffside. With a new party of Pokemon and our starters in hand, we make our way outward and continue our journey in hopes of finding a new and next adventure. I'm the Thesterninator, but my friends call me Stern, and welcome to the channel. Making your way to the cliffside of Visa Vita will be no easy feat. Luckily, your Signal Badge allows you to access Shiverify as your ride Pokemon, but along the treacherous waters that surround the region, you may encounter some new and exciting Pokemon. While moving through the intrepid waters of the region, you may find yourself encountering some Pokemon, specifically some Water-type Pokemon. This place is kind of home to a dozen different types of creatures, and I want to talk specifically about this one. I designed it off of jellyfish as well as plastic bags. If you've ever been to the West Coast or anywhere near a beach, you know how often refuse, debris, and trash can just wind up in the ocean. Very often here, these plastic bags will wash ashore and kind of confuse people whether they are a jellyfish or a plastic bag. So I wanted to design a Pokemon that really looks at that concept. This Pokemon is dangerous, and its big wide mouth, its grin, may hide the fact that it is a very big predator to the area. It will encapsulate and pull in Pokemon into itself, suffocating them so that it can eat. But it also has this big friendly face that makes it really fun for trainers to try and capture. What a fun little guy. What an exciting little Pokemon to have in your party, without realizing just how dangerous they can be. Kind of takes into account the whole idea behind littering. It's just one bag. It's just one cardboard box. It's just one plastic bottle. How bad could it be? After all, we love to take snacks and treats like that to the beach. I do all the time. But the big thing is, when they end up in the ocean, they are the biggest predator to any fish, turtle, coral reef, or creature that may find itself trapped in one. So I wanted to make a Pokemon that really takes in those ideas. It's simple, it's easy, it's a funny little guy, but in reality, it is dangerous. And this is a Pokemon that you'll encounter off the coast of Visa Vita. So I want to introduce you to Plasterbag. The initial name was Gasterbag, but I decided to move away the ghost type that I had in my previous Instagram post from years back. It is the debris Pokemon and is a water poison type, with its shiny looking more like one of those green recyclable bags, which, while recyclable, are still pretty dangerous to the environment. But maybe you're not lucky enough to just come across one of these guys. Maybe you come across its evolved form. One of the problems that we have, like I said, is litter in the ocean, but one of the bigger issues is not just this litter that finds its way into the ocean by just happenstance, being washed away as high tide comes and takes out all the stuff left behind by beachgoers, but actual dumping in the ocean. People taking big plastic bags and throwing them out there. It's terrible, and it's something that happens far too often. So when looking at a Pokemon that was going to be a little bit different from what we normally have, as well as a predator to the area, I wanted to encapsulate that idea, take all that into account, and create this Pokemon, which, while the previous form is a small shopping bag, this one is a big and deliberate trash bag, leaking out that gross and vile junk. Again, if it's a poison type, it should feel like one, I think. And while the previous form kind of surprises you with that poison type, I didn't want there to be any confusion with this one. It is absolutely a poison type, and it is, in my opinion, one of the worst kind that you can encounter. Its whole definition is litter. Its whole definition is garbage. And I really wanted to get the idea of that kind of hexagonal and angular shape to the head that just makes it feel a little bit unnatural. Almost like the stuff inside is poking out or trying to burst its way through the bag. I don't know why people think it's okay to do that. It's just, I don't know. It's something that exists, and it is a terrible problem. And so, like I said, when coming up with what was going to be the keeper of this area, taking over these beaches, I thought, well, why not make it be something like this? It's kind of a lesson, kind of a terrible reminder of what we do to the environment. And we'll get a lot more into that. The whole balance between humanity and Pokemon, humanity and nature, humanity and the world around us is a big part of this series. And this Pokemon is kind of you as a player's first introduction into that concept. But it definitely won't be the last. We'll see a lot more of it. I really like the design and the concept, and it's almost disappointing to me how much that I really enjoy the just whole setup of this Pokemon, especially with what it means. So this is Spectrofuse, the debris Pokemon, a water poison type. For the shiny, I brought back in that green using those green ties on the trash bags. Again, often symbolizing, hey, this is recyclable, but it also doesn't mean that it can just be thrown in the ocean. I also wanted to get that executioner type of look to the bag itself, which plays up its whole predatory nature. That's enough of sad Pokemon and terrible lessons being learned on what humans can do. Let's talk about a different Pokemon, one based on man-made forest fires. Sorry, I have an agenda. I don't, but it feels like I do. Here we have a character named Smokey the Bear, and while there are a lot of bear-type Pokemon in Pokemon, we don't really have a fire type. And so I thought, what better creation than a Smokey Bear, Smokey the Bear. So this is our first form, and it's absolutely adorable. I love this design, I love this concept. It's one that I posted years back and have continued to play with for a long time. I was kind of reminded of it by a post on our Discord where someone is doing some of the art from the Instagram posts, and I thought, oh, that's a fun Pokemon. And when we're going into Umberfell, our next town, a burnt down husk of what used to be, why not introduce this fire-type bear Pokemon? Now, you may be asking yourself, but if it's a fire bear, isn't it the exact problem of there being fires? Of these wildfires spreading and taking over parts of the country? Yes and no. I see this Pokemon more as an adaptive Pokemon. It's been around fire so much and seen so much devastation that the only ones who survived were the ones who could adapt to be okay around the fire, the ones who could survive it. And you may be telling yourself, well, Stern, wouldn't that make it a water type? Shouldn't it be something that's strong against fire? Well, what better way to fight fire than with fire? After all, Smokey the Bear often tells us only you can prevent forest fires. So I wanted to make it a fire type. It's a sad and ironic twist of fate for this Pokemon. Something that, I don't know, still gets that message across, and Umberfell is definitely an area that's about teaching a message about living with the world. Kostawes is this huge balance between the idea of becoming famous and becoming a celebrity or even a Pokemon champion, and what cost that may have. You may notice that a lot of our gym leaders use Porico products. There's a whole deal with that. So I introduce you to Caburn. Its name is a mix of cub and burn, kind of played up a little bit, also giving that burr type of vibe with the natural aspects to it. It is a pure fighting type, and the shiny I think is really interesting. It's this yellowish, tannish, brownish color to make it look like it's a firefighter. Very much mimicking the colors that firefighters wear when putting out fires. But yeah, fun guy. With the aid of your trusty ride Pokemon, you venture up, leading you onto the cliffside shore, and begin to search for this seemingly endangered Pokemon, when you're suddenly ambushed. Hey kid, you'd better not be trying to swoop in on our Pokemon job. Yeah, this is our secret mission. Regular mission. Quiet, you two! We were tasked with recapturing this Pokemon, and as far as we're concerned, you're standing in our way. That's a very bad place to stand. Right! Show 'em, boss! These are the Porico admin that we drew up on our recent live stream, but they're challenging you to a battle. You can find more info on them in that video there, but they'll start off this battle by sending in a Krogunk. Nothing too much to worry about, but it may take out a party member or two. They'll follow that up with a Mankey. Now you may be starting to sweat as your party dwindles down. But before you can catch your breath, they're already readying their ace Pokemon. On our live stream, I talked about how these trainers are focused around the idea of the Three Stooges. If that's not obvious already, I don't know what to tell you, but I wanted their Pokemon to really mimic that same type of idea. So I thought, well, let's work with a three-headed Pokemon. Hydreigon seems way too strong. Dodrio feels a little bit out there for the concept. Magneton doesn't have as much personality as I'd like to incorporate. So why not a Doug trio? A Doug trio really allows you to play with the emotions of the characters, and I thought that really fits here. They're kind of all over the place, they're kind of a mess, harkening back to the early Team Rocket days where blasting off again was kind of almost their whole point. So I wanted that type of look and that type of feel for the trainers. And I also see the trainers very much, you're not going up against Poriko's best and brightest here. These are more so the trainers that they kind of just needed to get rid of. So they sent them on a wild goose chase to hunt down these escaped Pokemon, hoping that it would distract them enough that actual work could be done at the lab. Regardless, their Pokemon are nothing to scoff at, as this is their ace and it's going to give you a run for your money, especially this early in the game. I figure they're very much tied to these Pokemon, and I played a lot with the mechanic of how facing off against these three trainers would work. Would it be a rotation battle? Would it be a triple battle? I don't know. I thought, especially for early game, it would be more fun just to have them as a regular battle, but who knows? They may try to adapt to the situation and overshoot time and time again, so you may have a different type of battle. They may have different types of Pokemon on their team each time that you encounter them. I think they're a ton of fun, and I'm really excited that these are kind of our often found enemies for the region, especially being based off the Three Stooges. It's a show that I used to watch a ton growing up. Me and my brothers just really gravitated to it and would seek out to watch it on AMC every chance we got. For New Year's, they actually did a marathon, and I remember not even caring that New Year's was happening because we loved the Three Stooges so much. So I give you Kostawes Doug Trio, the mole Pokemon. This one is ground fighting, and the way that I see it working with that fighting aspect is a new type of attack where it's able to use Dig 3 times, with its evasiveness rising each time, almost bumping up rather than a whack-a-mole. This time, the mole whacks you. So I think it's a ton of fun. So they send out their ace Pokemon, and while it is a challenge, while it is something difficult, you are eventually able to put it away. Now, probably with just your starter at your side. Oh, the PRF isn't gonna like this. All of their confidence quickly fades away into cowardice. Oh no, now they're gonna catch the Pokemon we're after. Not without that experimental Pokeball, they won't. You mean the experimental Pokeball that's been missing, you dolt? They begin to squabble amongst each other, but they don't have long, as the ground begins to shake beneath them. And with a fearful yell, all three run off. You stand ready for whatever may come when a Pokemon seems to just appear before you, as though it had been watching the whole time, as if it were a trainer readying for whoever was going to be the victor. Without hesitation, you quickly get ready and throw the Pokeball that you've been given by that mysterious wanderer. It shakes. Maybe you've caught it. Maybe it... Oh no, the Pokemon broke free! It watches you for a moment, and then, as quickly as it appeared, it vanishes. You ask yourself what to do next. Should you return back to the Wanderer? Let him know that you failed? Whatever the case, you need to go on. You need to move on to the town of Umberfell. Maybe you'll get some answers there. Maybe you'll figure out what your next steps are. But regardless, that's the path you need to take. If you want to be a part of the conversation that we have about Pokemon and Five Nights at Freddy's and all that fun stuff, head on over to the Discord that's going to be down in the description, where we have almost 1,000 members. You can also be a part of our Patreon poll that we have every Monday through Tuesday, where we figure out what our Wednesday video is going to be. I want to take a minute too to shout out some of our supporters, specifically Teacup Cryptid, who is our master trainer over on the Patreon. Thank you guys so much for the support. You guys are amazing, and I guess with all that said, it sounds like you know where to find me. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.